Let's try take two. And I felt like you then when the like your door goes.
Yeah, it's usually me and my door goes, isn't it? It was
Yeah,
yours this time. Uh,
yeah. Just one of those things that I had to quickly like rush and then. So let's should we try this again?
yes.
Yeah. LFG is season one here, full review. That's what we're talking about today. I mean, loads of stuff to talk about. It's weird because we thought it was like 10 episodes, but it was like 40. I think it was like 16 in total.
Yep, definitely was.
Interesting. I'm going to talk all about that and stuff like that. So, enough rambling on. Let's get into the intro. Hey, Nate, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, mate. I mean, we said it before we take one. Busy work week?
Yeah, it was a busy work week, yes. Um, just that time of year where everything's on top. So, but we'll get there. Yourself?
Yeah, same old, mate. Same old, obviously, work week and stuff. I mean, I obviously did the interview this week, but it feels like I've been like focusing more on work. It's just been one of those weeks, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just absolute crazy, man, and stuff like that. But yeah, we had obviously the Dynamite doll, aka the Dynamite Kids doll, this week, which was a really good interview, very an insight.
It was really good, and like regardless of what people think of Dynamite, where you can't sort of argue that he's he's one of the innovators of modern wrestling. It's all his whole sort of footprints all over it.
Absolutely, and stuff like. And I love the comment you made at the end saying that he has put a stamp on, which you just mentioned there. Do you know of today with what we see?
No, definitely. I mean, I know, like, well, things like Hall of the Fame are good for recognition, but at the end of the day, I think what was it? His footprint's bigger than that. Not to say that the Hall of Fame isn't the biggest thing, but if you dissect wrestling, he, I mean, he says one of he's probably primarily the main shift in modern wrestling. Because he was the guy that got over from that style really quickly. We know the wrestlers that sort of followed in his footsteps. But it was way back at the beginning. He had some amazing matches, in Japan, and what it did with the Bulldogs, and what was it? We're talking like Tiger Mask and things like that. So many sort of good. Like, he was that sort of like first sort of like not giant guy who had all this wrestling ability and was able to handle these giants of the ring. So it was interesting to hear. And I know it's. I mean, I get the impression that was obviously she was quite open about what was her father and what's been said and what he was done and the bad stuff. I know you didn't go into like too much detail about it, but she's obviously willing to talk about that sort of thing. She's not brushing that under the carpet in any way, but she's looking to explain that through some of the trauma and that it probably had. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was definitely a great interview. I would recommend checking it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, so if people want to check that interview out, it's obviously on the YouTube channel. We obviously aired it Monday and stuff like that. And like I said, it's an incredible interview and stuff like that. So we're also talking about WWE LFG season one and stuff like that. Now, I've got to be honest, I mean, from the trailers from the get go, this really piqued my interest.
It did, the, what was it, and what you really got in the trailers is what was happening at the beginning, so it didn't really step away from like giving you too much in the episodes, but you knew what you were going to get, especially in the first couple of episodes, because they had that sort of trailer that sort of had all these interesting points, like the bit with Gunther, the bit with Taker, with the what was it, the move like sharing the sort of Hell's Gate and things like that, so there was lots of really interesting aspects to it.
Yeah, and the one thing I liked is obviously the coaches. I mean, you had Team Bubba, like I said, which is prime example of tag team wrestling, which I like. Other days in its own right. You had Mickey, and then obviously you had Booker. So you got 4 legends really in their own right.
Yep. No, definitely.
But the thing is, I mean, from week to week to week, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. So we were watching this, seeing what was going to
Yeah.
happen and stuff like that. But what did you think as it got like week to week?
Well, I mean, it was sort of interesting. So obviously, we know the first week was a sort of initial promo stuff, and it reeled quite a bit about the characters, what was it called? And then it wasn't really till the sort of second week we sort of got any sort of real physicality going on. I think for me, one of the best weeks was week 3 when they did the promo stuff, what was it with Punk? That was really good. Um, again, week 4 was sort of, I think, it was a week 4 or 5 where they started like doing the full matches. The first sort of matches you sort of seen, what was sort of going on with some of the wrestlers, and this is where you started to sort of see the standouts. What was it like? What was it? You had people like Xena and Shyla. What was it that were well standing out above? What was it? The others in the sort of the show. Um, and then you had the sort of drama behind that with the what was it, BJ as well. He came in at the beginning and he was a bit of a prick, to be honest. And then he
Mm-hmm.
got injured, so they brought in Cutler, and then obviously he get healthy again, and then what was it? He turned into an even bigger prick. What was it? Cutler get cut. What was it? What was it? And then obviously BJ just kept on causing drama till he was sort of out, So he was a sort of character of the show. I was a bit worried that he was going to actually win the damn thing.
Yeah, let's obviously stick with the BJ thing because for me, I was left confused in watching as a fan because I didn't come in. The thing was, and I think they said it towards the end, was he can talk for love nor money, but he just couldn't back it up.
No, he can't. He's probably one of these guys that probably used to having a team of guys behind him ready to fight for him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he's the sort of guy that hands out the guns and the bullets, and he just stands back and watches. Um, he had a bit of a. What was it? I mean, he had that. What was it? What was it? Sort of security. What was it? Where they did the one in the previous week's episode where he's eliminated and he went right after. What was it? Bubba threatening him. You know. What was it called? If that was real life, ain't no way, but it ain't no way in hell Bubba's going back, getting a couple of guys and beating the absolute living daylight shit out of him for doing what he did, But he was comfortable doing that because he's a
Mm-hmm.
shite bag and he had the cameras and the people in front of him, it was you can tell Bubba's the sort of person that would do his business. He was in the background, away from everybody.
No,
um,
absolutely, yeah, and I think that's kind of thing the way I'd handle it. Do you know what I mean? Just straight to the point and stuff like that. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it did cause a lot of drama. I mean, I think it was the tag match with him and Cutler and stuff like that. You
yeah,
said to me straight away when we watched that these two are going to end up facing each other, and one of them's going to end up going home. And I think we
yeah.
worked it out.
Yeah, and I wish that. I mean, I know it's wrestling, but I wish that wasn't so bloody obvious, because I know reality television's got a bit of scripting in it, but yeah, not a
Yeah,
fan of it being too sort of obvious, you know.
not at
So,
all.
so obviously, as the sort of season progressed, you had various ups and downs and sob stories, and I think what was it? It went into a sort of wee bit of a lull, and then all of a sudden the episode with Gunther was really good because he really came across as that guy that he was very old school,
Mm-hmm.
Eh, he, he even spoke to the Undertaker. And Taker's like, yeah, wait a minute, I'm the Undertaker, and then he realised, oh yeah, I probably am, what was it? So it's very interesting,
Do you remember the point when I can't remember who said it was? The whole atmosphere changed once he entered the room.
Yeah, definitely,
and stuff
he's like,
like that.
yeah,
Did you notice throughout the whole series the one key thing that obviously get brought up a lot was the promo stuff?
yeah. I think that's key, and the WWE is trying to get back more into sort of less scripted, more. It was a raw sort of raw promos, you know. That was ironically everybody like like talks down promos, but this week on AEW they were bigging it up because Hangman and Osprey were out chewing the fat, which wasn't actually that great either. I know they all portrayed it to be, you know, but what was it called? Hangman's out doing there, he's a pussy of a man sort of thing of, oh, what was it? I've let my family down. I'm no, 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 no. I really need this win. You know, what was it called? Boring. You know, what was it called? And there's like nothing there. You know, and that's what's lacking from wrestling in general. You know, what was it called? I mean, even in the WWE, there's not overly too many guys that can cut a good promo or girls. You know, but the ones that can do it are really good.
Now, one style that I actually liked, and I think it was the semis and stuff like that, where literally two people in the ring, one referee, and they just talk absolute shite to each other. I feel like that's a good little concept.
That is a good little concept, you know. But you've got to have what was it? You've got to be willing to take what you get give out, you know. So definitely we've seen the emotions come out on that one, which is really good, and I think that's what they were looking for, you know, to see what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff like that. So let's also talk about the talent and stuff like that now. There was actually quite a few decent talent and stuff. Anthony Luke was obviously a standout. Elijah Holyfield, Jasper Troy, which we'll obviously get onto, Shiloh Hill, Serena Linton, and of course Xena Sterling. There's some great, obviously, people here where you obviously got to see as the show progressed.
Yeah, Bailey, but was it? Yeah, did like P Nasty and all that. BJ, as we sort of says, there was Cutler, there was Chris Island. There was so many, but as we know, we got to the final and it was Jasper Troy, Shiloh Hill. There was Xena and then there was Tyra. You know, so it's quite ironic that what was it that Mickey didn't have anybody in the final. You know, I think Taker had two guys in the final, or girl, one guy, one girl. You know, so it would have been good to have seen Mickey get someone there. You know, but it is what it is, I suppose.
No, exactly. One thing I liked as well is with Bubba's team. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he started off zero, like 4 or 5
Yeah,
weeks in, and then towards the end, I think he finished third.
yeah. I don't think that, like the point element was good fun, you know, for the show, but I don't think it was you know, I don't think he was too concerned, you know, with winning it. You just want to make sure he came across like he always does.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? But is it, when the show started, was there anybody who stuck out for you straight away? I'm talking episode one. Was there somebody there you thought this guy's going to go places or girl?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you had sort of like Shiloh, he stood out, you know, and you sort of got the impression that although she wasn't necessarily a thing where there was Bailey stood out, Xena stood out, you know, so there, wa- there was a sort of few for me that sort of stood out, and it wasn't
Yeah,
really, you know, what was it, eh, you know, what was it? It starts to sort of like sort of like at the middle of the season sort of peter out, and there wasn't the sort of stories that were there at the beginning because you see it play out. So, but hopefully, you hope that you would see your favourites get into the end, and I think most of the ones did. As I said, the one I was concerned about was BJ. Unfortunately, he got knocked out. So, and as we know as well that what was it, as we progressed, we got to the final, and it was Jasper, Shiloh, Xena, and Tyra. So that was, I think that was two takers, wasn't it? And a Booker and a Bubba.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
Shiloh and Tyra was
yeah,
obviously dirt takers.
yeah,
Jasper was obviously bookers, and then of course Xena's obviously bubbers and stuff like that. I
yeah,
mean, let's obviously talk about them two matches. You know what I mean? Shiloh Hill, Jasper Troy. that was one of those matches and stuff like that, which I would have been happy which either one won because I thought it was both great.
Yeah, what was it? It's what was it? It's interesting. What was to see the sort of like you obviously have the final matches, but um, like I'm guessing they were looking at more than anything.
What do you mean by that more?
What was it? Like it wasn't just about that final match. It was about the whole package, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. When it obviously comes to Jasper and thingy, do you think the right person won, or like I say, could it have been either?
It could have been either, what was it called? It could have been either, but from that standpoint, in terms of the women, I don't get Tyra at all. I think, you know, like that sort of like that sort of role's hard to sort of to play because what was it called? I think Xena's got more character.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had Tyras before, that are the athletics, they've got the
Mm-hmm.
big background, you know. But in the WWE, that's not what gets over. Unfortunately, you need that character. Unless
No.
she's going to be a really nasty heel, and I don't think she wants to be. I think she wants to be that American babyface, you know. Uh, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, and I always remember when obviously it was announced that Tyra won, the absolute backlash from that was really remarkable. I don't know if you saw any of it.
What do you mean, the backlash online?
Yeah, so everyone was absolute kicking off the fact that Tyra won. I'm not saying, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I hate her and stuff like that. It's just for me as a fan, as a
yeah,
character, I just can't get behind it.
yeah. Nah, I don't. I didn't get it myself.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not obviously knocking her and stuff like that, but it's just for me watching it, I'm just like, not really a. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, not really.
But we'll
Yep.
see and stuff like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a really a sort of thing. Yeah. It is what
Nah,
it is.
it is. So I've just got the viewership here. Do you know to see obviously how well it did? You know, obviously on the viewership.
Uh-huh.
How many people do you think watched it as on average?
I don't know. I don't even know what channel it was on over in the States. Maybe a couple of 100,000, if that.
A&E.
A&E. Did I do the Kevin Bridges and go 5 million?
No, it's not even close to that. I'll be honest with you.
No, I know I was joking. Do you know the Kevin Bridges joke?
I don't, mate. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, what was it? He's got a joke about asking his mate, what was it? Like, how much do you think this cost? And everybody's like, you want the shock value, and he's like, the joke basically, his mate would come in like, it's like 5 million. So it just completely, he says it just completely kills the suspense.
Right.
But yeah, I would guess a couple of 100,000.
So on average, 150,000.
That's not too bad, you know.
No, I mean that's quite. Do you know for a new show and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
let's obviously balance the show out and stuff like that. Is there anything on the show throughout the whole series she didn't like stick with you? Or you thought not really sure about that.
Didn't like, didn't like BJ. What was it called at all? What was it? Liked the sort of the strength. If that's where the women's division's going, it's going to be great. You know, sometimes I didn't like. Uh, you like to understand the wrestlers, but you don't want like. And I'm not saying it's like in a sort of malicious way, but you don't want the sob story. You know, everybody's got stuff in their life or tragedy in their life. What was it called? What was it called? So when they push stuff like that, that sort of, it's good to get that personal raw feeling. And I know they did it on a few occasions to bring out the character. Bubba did in the first episode to make thing. Was it Xena cry? What was it? Or was it Danny? I can't remember which one.
Uh,
Uh,
I don't think it was either. I think it was Tyra.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't Tyra. It was the one about uh, parent being deported. It wasn't
Oh,
Tyra.
oh, Jesus! Now I'm not quite sure now.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was one of the. I'm sure it was one of the girls I mentioned. Um, but yeah, and it just sort of leave you. It sort of leaves you. So obviously they were made the big play into season two.
Which I
Which
do
is sort of,
believe Shiloh and Xena's going to be on that.
yeah, and possibly BJ. You know, um, with Bubba. So what was it? And then obviously, what was it? And then obviously we've seen a few appear on NXT. So it's going to be interesting to see where that sort of plays out. It's sort of like defeats the point of a competition if you're going to bring people back.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of weird.
let's face it, yeah, Shiloh is going to be a name,
I think
definitely.
Bailey. I think you pointed Bailey out earlier on, and I
Yeah,
think she should have been in the final for me personally, but
yeah.
who
I,
knows?
I, I mean, to be honest, I mean, like, if we want to talk about the sort of legends, they all brought interesting characters. But was it Bubba and what was it? Booker had an interesting sort of relationship. You can tell they're good friends.
Hmm.
Very competitive. Um, but people misconstrue. I think, and I think Booker probably played a bit of his character online. What was it? What was it? But what was it? From what I've heard about his wrestling school and things like that, like he's deadly serious. Like he's a smart cookie, and he's a real bad guy. What was it called? And what was it called? I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him. What was it? If I were to pick a fight between Bubba or Booker T, getting the wrong side, I'd probably pick Bubba.
Yeah,
you know.
it's
What was it? And people don't give Booker that respect. Yeah, just because he plays like that sort of friendly, funny, sort of silly, sort of like shaky quack quack nonsense on television. Like he is deadly serious about his wrestling, and that's not to say that isn't about Bubba as well, But what you see with Bubba is what you sort of got. Booker, what was it? Interesting. Obviously, Mickey James. What was it called? She had an interesting sort of team and dynamic as well. Um, Taker was always interesting because you've never seen that side of Undertaker till only recently. So um, very cool, very cool to see.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm just looking now. Did you watch NXT this week?
No, I haven't. I'm way behind in wrestling this week. I've seen Raw and bits of AEW, but what was it called? Yeah, not seen NXT.
Let's just say that one of the winners makes a statement against the world champion.
All right.
I'll let you watch it. I'm just looking. I've got it in front of me now, so
Yeah, I'll check that out.
absolutely. I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's been an interesting series. I think I will watch obviously season two, but I think we should just do the whole thing like we've done today.
Uh huh.
Because the thing is, I mean, we're always busy through the week, work week and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? What was it like? What was it? Yeah. See how it goes. It's just what was it? But it's definitely fun to do. What was it? And I've just had a busy period.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, season two returns June 2025. Undertaker, Booker T, Michelle McCall this time, and Bubba Ray will be the T coaches. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. What was it? It's a shame for Mickey because I thought she was going to be on it for 3 seasons, but because she sort of mentioned in an interview. But yeah,
She may come back though. Who knows?
yeah, maybe she come back and kick Michelle McCool's ass. You know.
We'll see. We'll see. So, of course, Annie, we're recording tomorrow. We're going to have a little a behind the scenes discussion about the whole show. Do you know what I mean? What fans don't know, how it all started. You know, little stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, on Sunday we're going to be recording some more watch-alongs and stuff like that, which is going to be dropping every. They've done quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, they're good fun, you know, and I think you've got some good interviews out of the back of that as well. So always good.
Yeah, absolutely, and stuff like that. So, Haney, you get the final say? Anything to say?
Yeah. So what I'll say is Jasper's big boss man slam is powered by dad strength and diapers.
Cheers for watching, guys.